Chase, hello and happy freaking Wednesday. Monday night, we had an unexpected bonus night off. So we are back tonight to tell you about a deep dive that I've been working on. And Chase, I am so excited. But to make sure that we can have this deep dive, I have a very easy question for you to kick all of this off. Is the Master Sword an item?
Yes.
I think I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you, but it's really kind of, if you think about its occurrences, right? Mm-hmm. Ocarina of Time. It's a time travel mechanism. You really only draw it out when you're
that far, so I wouldn't know on that one.
It's a cutscene at best in the Ocarina of Time. I mean, you of course use it. Twilight Princess. Its real function is to keep you from being a wolf.
I would say all swords in Zelda are items. Going back to the very first Legend of Zelda, you go into that cave. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. You have to pick up a sword. You can play. You can play around in that world. You can walk around in that world without the sword.
Totally.
And then you get the sword, and that's an item. I also, because my favorite, or at least most played Zelda games, are the Oracle games and Link's Awakening by somewhat extension. In those games, the sword is explicitly an item. You have two slots where you can use items, and your sword is often one of those items, but doesn't always have to be. And sometimes you might want to pair the Rock's cape with the Seed Shooter or whatever. I don't mean to spoil anything we might be talking about here.
No, it's okay.
My opinion is all swords in Zelda are items.
I think that's very fair. They're also transcendent in a way. Like they're plot devices, as I'm kind of like paying off here. It's one of those things also that has introduced mechanics that are great sometimes, are really, really poorly executed in others. And it's one of the things that I think Zelda has done so well, that they can take something that would be kind of mundane and make it so cool and so grandiose. Like a sword is nothing in some games. It's just a means to an end. But again, like one of these games, you're literally building out this sword of legend, which is the Master Sword. And I think the other thing that Zelda has done in a really cool way is they've made tutorials fun by making basically a dungeon just a very cool tutorial on a new item you're going to get. And when I think about Zelda, I of course have nostalgia these days. I have a lot of wanderlust of just like exploring these vast, wonderful worlds of Hyrule, these cast of characters.
Your favorite series ever.
Easily, by a country mile. Like nothing comes close to Zelda for me. And I think one of the things that defines Zelda for me, and spoiler alert, some of the things that I've had pause with on the current generation of Zelda is I think items are some of my favorite things about the series. And there's so many different ways to look at items, from, hey, is the Master Sword one, to, man, I got a fourth bottle. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And it's such a wide spectrum, but I associate dungeons with items and bosses that you like. There's always an accomplishment that comes with it. So tonight we're going to be celebrating the items of Zelda, and it's also the 40th anniversary of Zelda, and Nintendo doesn't seem to care much about that. Ooh. So I wanted to do 40 items with you tonight that then we would, and this goes across 40 years, by the way. We're looking at a vast, there's like 21 different games that we can pull items from, and there's a lot to get through.
Some of these items are across games as well.
Like that's a great point you bring up. There's not a lot that have been on every.
Right, yeah.
That's the crazy point. Like, and yes, we're going to be looking at the one item might be in the game 4 or 5 times, where there might be one item that is one dungeon's use in one game out of 40 years, which is crazy. So we're going to be looking at those in the tier maker website. So we're going to be ranking these together and having conversation around it. But I want to go over what these items are with you, and then maybe we can talk about like how we want to approach putting these items in order. How does that sound?
Yeah. I have 2 things. First thing, you were mentioning kind of the you enjoying that older style of Zelda. I mean, you're a huge fan of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom as well. Let's not play. But there certainly is.
They get the rupees.
Sure. I think we've talked about this on the show before. You've seen the Mark Brown Boss Keys series,
Yeah.
yes?
Yeah.
Okay, because that very much goes back to that Zelda lock and key. This item helps open this door, which gets you to this boss, which gets you to this thing. That can be a very satisfying way of playing video games, and obviously it worked for Zelda for an extremely long time, and still works for Zelda. You know, we saw that happen with oh god, what's the name of it? The one where you actually play Zelda.
Oh, Echoes of Wisdom.
Echoes of Wisdom. There you go.
Yeah.
Like that style of Zelda still works, even if we have the new giant 3D Zeldas around. Totally. Second thing is, and this kind of goes into what you were talking about. I have very very often on this show talked about how I don't finish Zelda games. There are a scant few that I have finished. I have played or started most of them, not all of them, but I will often be deferring because we are going to be talking about these items in some games that I haven't played, or some games that I never got that item, or in some games that I'm just not as familiar with. Bobby, I don't think you've beaten every single Zelda game, correct?
No, I've played. I'm just now starting to play some of the handheld ones. So that was where I had a gap. I've talked about that on the show exclusively. Like, I didn't grow up with access to like handhelds. So as I've really gone down that rabbit hole this year, I've been playing these games. So I've touched a lot of the handheld era Zeldas, but I have not completed them this year.
Well, that's perfect, because of the Zelda games, the handheld ones are mostly where my experience lies, outside of like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. I
will just say, as a fan of the series, to the degree that I am familiar a lot of these things. Like I've seen them, and certainly I was doing my research on this, and this was a tough list to put together. And I probably got some on here that people are like, why the fuck would you even want to put those in a rank? And then there's some on here that people are like, why wouldn't you put those on there? And so, again, to your point, there's a lot of bleed over. There's a lot of variations of a theme also. And I tried my best to balance it out. I didn't give myself rules of like, I can only have X amount from this game. I went with what I think would be interesting, especially in the type of list that we were doing tonight. So
I love that. Yeah. So I don't know the list.
You do not. You're about to learn it right now.
It's going to surprise me. And also, not that my opinion doesn't matter, but I imagine that there will be a lot of times where I will defer to Bobby on how this works in the game, what ranking this deserves. I will chime in on things, but this is Bobby's show. This is Bobby's deep dive.
Yeah,
I'm here for the ride.
I'll just say this. We're going to talk out loud on this podcast because that's what a podcast is. But if you are unfamiliar with us, we are doing this live right now on Twitch and YouTube. You can go back and watch our VODs there. And if you are a fan of our show on podcast only, surprise, we do stuff with our faces and screens. We're going to have the tier list pulled up in case you wanted to see the items. I have the sprites from the Zelda Wiki. It'll be a smaller image as we're talking here on screen, but you at least can follow along that way. So Chase, I'm going to flip over to that so you can see visually what I'm talking about, kind of, while we go through this. So
and if people don't want to see our faces, I'm sure we'll just spoil the whole thing
we're smaller.
But I'm sure we'll just put the final tier list image on Blue Sky or whatever.
Yeah, it'll be on our socials. All right, Chase. If you look at the images that I have here, I'm going to be going left to right, top to bottom in order. These are not ranked today or anything like that. This is just for us to keep track of. So, we have the Master Sword, which we have already confirmed as an item.
Well, hang on. I think this will take too long, and I don't mind going to the items individually as we do them. I don't know if we need to say the whole list to everybody right now. I think
it's not going to take me long to get through 40 items. I can do this in 40 seconds.
All right.
I will do this faster than you do your sign off. How about that?
Well, that's almost assuredly true.
All right. Master Sword, Hylian Shield, Bow and Arrow, Bombs, Bottle, Boomerang, Hookshot, Pegasus Boots, Magic Cape, Magic Mirror, Mirror Shield, Cane of Somaria, Fire Rod, Ice Rod, Bug Net, Rock's Cape, the Ocarina of Time, Lens of Truth, Iron Boots, Megaton Hammer, Biggoron Sword, Fierce Deity's Mask, the Rod of Seasons, Magnetic Gloves, Seed Shooter, Gust Jar, Deku Leaf, the Wind Waker, Bomb Chew, Skull Hammer, Gale Boomerang, Spinner, Ball and Chain, Dominion Rod, Sand Wand, Beetle, Paraglider, Sheikah Slate, Ultra Hand, and Tri-Rod. And now we have the impossible task of telling the internet how good or bad these are.
It's certainly impossible because I think I've used a quarter of these items.
All right. Do you think we should attempt to set an S and a D so we know where we stand?
Whoa, buddy. Let's not talk about S and Ds over here.
Hot damn. Where do you land on that? What are your thoughts?
I think I don't mind going down the list as you've read it.
Okay.
But I think we do need to explain what we mean by these tiers, because it's easy to see S, A, B, C, D and go, okay, I understand that tier the highest tier is the best tier. But I think there also is an explanation. I kind of want to give us at least a rubric of how we're scoring these things.
Sure.
And give us some ability to go, oh, that's why it should be in B over C or down all the way at D. Like, do we have some sort of justification for where these tiers kind of meet?
We could go a couple ways. There's a pragmatic approach, and I'll run through it with you really quickly.
Okay.
S is a series defining item. Zelda is the different franchise without it. So that's pretty straightforward. A would take it with me into any Zelda game if I could. B could be solid. It does the job very well. C is a fine but yet kind of forgettable item potentially. Like, I don't think any of these are really forgettable, but in the grand scheme of, do you use it a lot in the game? Situational, this is even more so. You used it twice and then shelved it like it was a single dungeon type thing. Or like F could be, hey, this is actively annoying to use, or it is complete wasted potential. Like, that is a very pragmatic approach for me on like looking at it from a functionality. But I think there's also an iconic approach. Like, let's just say it, the Master Sword, we called that out earlier. Like, that is a series defining item. It's on all of their logo types.
I think I'd be more interested in talking about its usefulness over iconicness.
So going with the more pragmatic approach.
I think so. So. I would also like to ask or just clarify. So we do have some items on here. I know there are some items here like Boomerang or Hookshot that are in multiple Zelda games. When we get to one of those items, do you have a specific Zelda game in mind for that item, or are we talking about that item in any?
I think that you can talk about this. I mean, considering that you and I have had very different experiences with those items, I would say speak to the item from your own personal experience. So like, the Gale Boomerang probably doesn't mean shit to you comparatively to the Boomerang.
Twilight Princess thing?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh.
Nice pull. Nice pull.
Passed my first test.
But also some of the Koei Tecmo games have introduced some of these items as like staples in some of those, or like a special ability and shit. So you might have seen them there or had like, oh, I know what that is, but you would have no context like the dungeon or the imprint it had there.
That makes sense to me. I think there's also probably a little bit of a grading on an average rather than just taking an item's best or worst iteration. I mean, hey, like take the Boomerang. The Boomerang is going to be really good in some games. It's going to be okay in some games. So I don't want to say, oh, it's C tier because it was C tier in this one game. If it's
But also think about these this way too, because I think you have to. I think that you have to think about an item when possible in both a combat and puzzle environment. Sure. And that's what's really cool, because some of these items might be dog shit in combat, but they might be completely useless, but they might be fucking awesome. And the other thing that I want to call out here too, there might be some controversy when we get into the current Zelda, because like, let's just call this Slate out really quick. It's kind of a lot of these big hits in one thing. It's the Swiss Army knife.
I honestly wasn't sure how you were going to talk about.
We have to
Breath of the Wild stuff. Well, I knew that we would. I just didn't know how you would talk about it. Like, would we talk about bombs in Tears of the Kingdom as bombs, or would we talk about them through the Sheikah Slate? And it sounds like
through the slate,
the latter, and that's fine. Cool.
So,
you got a lot of items. You want to get started?
Let's do it, man. We've got a lot to get through here. So I think it's easiest to start with the Master Sword.
Sure. D tier. Moving on.
Maybe in Breath of the Wild, I would give you a D tier version.
Man, yeah. Okay. So classic Chase answer that you're going to hear all night. I didn't get far enough in Breath of the Wild to get to the Master Sword.
Yeah.
But I heard I chide Bobby with this line all the time. The Master Sword is tired.
It gets a little sweepy.
That.
It gets sweepy fighting all the evil in Hyrule.
I get that that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, by extension, are games where you are supposed to experiment with lots of different weapons. The idea is that you craft these weapons together, and you're going to find sometimes that you'll want like a big spear, and that'll help out sometimes. Or, hey, I got this really cool sword, and I get to use this for a while, and then it breaks, and then I've got to find something else. And that is part of the loop. It's part of the exploration of the game. I still think it's stupid that you can get the Master Sword and it's not just the item that you can stick with. I just want you know how in Left 4 Dead that you start with those pistols, and those pistols have infinite ammo. But then you can get a cool special weapon for a little bit, and you get the cool special weapon. You get the assault rifle or whatever, and then you run out. But hey, I can go back to the trusty pistols. Doom's the same way. Like I've got a pistol. I've got a thing that I can use all the time. And then, hey, now I got the BFG. I can use that for a bit, but I can go back to my pistol when this runs out of ammo. It is stupid to me that we can't just get a fucking sword that goes, that's the one. This is the special fucking Master Sword in the game that's supposed to...
I know.
I hate it. I hate it so much. It tinges the Master Sword in every other game for me because of how they treat it in Breath of the Wild.
But they do find some really cool things to do with it in Tears of the Kingdom. And I really appreciate their self-solve for some of the weapon degradation, which I absolutely despise in games. Chase, I feel very strongly that the Master Sword is the S tier item. And
I think it is.
I think it's an S tier item.
Sword, because again, I'm an
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, I would argue though that the Biggoron sword is a cooler sword in the game, but maybe not a better sword.
The Master Sword, this is, in most iterations that I know of, this is the one that shoots beams, right? Like,
it shoots beams when you have full health.
Full health. Yeah,
baby.
Fuck yeah, that's iconic.
You did not play Skyward Sword, correct?
No.
I think Skyward Sword is largely meh, but I did appreciate giving that version an origin, like you build the sword, which I think is kind of cool. So that was fun.
Isn't Fi or Phi the Master Sword incarnate or whatever?
Yep. It's it's just ironic that I grew up playing Zelda games where it was about giving the sword more power to charge it up, and yet I play a game that I'm actively decharging that sword with Breath of the Wild. And look, man, like I think that Breath of the Wild is fantastic. The further I get away from it, that is a really hard thing to forgive, and the lack of like items and dungeons. And I would argue the music is really good in its own right, but like Zelda, I think about a lot of the pomp with the music. So
sure.
There's one down. We're doing great. I want to talk to you about the shield. We have one shield up right now. We have the Hylian shield. I have a Hylian shield behind me. It is on the couch as a pillow. I obviously think it's cool. I would argue it's one of the most identifiable shields in all of video games.
Sure.
It doesn't do as much as some of the other shields in the game. It doesn't have more. It can withstand burning up. From a functionality, it's the first thing you get in earlier games that protects you from falling fire. So there's a cool thing about that. You don't lose money in buying a new wooden shield. But in every Zelda game, Chase, the mirror shield has kind of been the late game shield that you get. It's the upgraded version of the shield. So where do you put the shield? Because if you're going purely function as your pragmatic approach here, it's not nearly as cool as it is iconic.
Yeah, Again, I don't know if I've gotten the Hylian shield specifically in most of the games that I've played. Most of my Zelda has been 2D over 3D.
Yeah.
I am at least used to the difference between a wooden shield and an iron shield that you'd get, or a level 2 shield that you'd get in something like the Oracle games, which I guess is kind of the equivalent to the Hylian shield here. Mirror shield, basically, it does everything that the other one does, except it also can
you can reflect like it does puzzling stuff. So it's also
does some puzzling stuff, but also probably like if I don't know this for a fact, but like if an Octorok shoots at you, it might reflect it back at them. Or
you can do that with any of the shields.
Okay.
The thing that's also interesting, just a quick little tangent here. They stopped making cool shields when they stopped letting you move the shield independently. When you just put the shield up to block statically, a lot of those shields lost the cool factor when you could not aim them and do things with beams of light that you would have with the mirror shield. So if we're going pragmatically, it's still Shield's a really fine. Good. What's that?
Shield's fine. I don't know. Do
you think that is it a solid B? Or is that an A?
No, I was thinking maybe even C.
Okay.
It is pretty bog standard. There are games where using the shield is really important. Not even in the Zelda franchise I'm talking about, like something like Dark Souls where you're using it as a parry mechanic, and there is points to blocking it. And Zelda has reasons to block, but I think that oftentimes I am actively trying to find places where I can use another item instead of the shield because I'm having more fun or having more
you do get a shield parry finally in Breath of the Wild, which is cool. Let me ask you this.
Yeah, there's also shield surfing, which
there is shield surfing.
I think is awesome, but also I know it degrades the shields every time you do it.
And that's
like I won't do it.
That's the other thing.
Surfed because it takes away the shield, and I go, I can just run. I'll be fine. Let me keep my shield status.
I'm pretty sure the only way you can get the Hylian shield in Breath of the Wild, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the only way is via an amiibo, and you can break the shield completely. You can lose it. So let me ask you this: while we're on the shields, would you put the mirror shield above the Hylian shield?
Negligibly, I think I'd probably put them in the same tier.
All right, so we're putting the shields are C tier items.
That's what I've always said.
I did not put a slingshot on here, Chase, because the bow and arrow is better than the slingshot, and they fill the same void usually as you get older.
God, you can't just say wrong shit like
I
that.
can't say wrong shit because the bow and arrow can fuse bombs to arrows. You can get fire arrows. You can get ice arrows. You can get light arrows.
I'm not saying the bow and arrow is a bad item. I am saying the slingshot is also a good item, and it hurts me that it's not on here, but I understand. It's fine. Continue.
I think that the bow and arrow is also some of the cooler puzzlings in these dungeons. There's some really fun stuff you get to do, especially it kind of scales with you, as I just mentioned. You might be able to start to fuse items and get some games gives you the sharpshooter eye that lets you do long range shooting. So there's some cool stuff with bow and arrows. It's also one of usually pretty early in the games ranged items you get, which comes in very handy. So
yeah, bow's a classic. Like that is often something I feel like I will. Again, I'm thinking Oracle games here, but sword in A item slot, bow in B item slot, so I can hit that long range when I need to. But oftentimes I just need a sword. But
yeah,
I love the bow and arrow. Don't get me wrong, it's a great item. I think A tier is. I think A tier is fine. I could see it going down to B as basically a more standard thing, but I can see where you're coming from, especially when you start to bring things like Breath of the Wild into it, where you have different elemental arrows that you can use for things. There are certain bows with extra things on them or with extra effects that have some effect on your gameplay. I'm fine having it in A. I think it's a very good Zelda item.
We didn't say this at the jump, but we can and will move things throughout. So like if we put more stuff up, we're like, actually the bow is a B. Maybe we'll do that.
Maybe for you, locked for me. I never changed my mind. Never have, never will.
Chase the bomb.
Yeah, bombs are fine.
I think bombs are more than fine if you're talking about Zelda. They are key. You cannot progress the story in a multitude of ways without a bomb. They are the item you use when you have the almost assuredly the item that will be sucking you in or doing something like that to inhale.
Yeah. What's
I think
the dinosaur's name? Dodongo or something like that?
the Dongo. I think a lot about false walls too. Like that's such a cool thing about discovery in these games. And like, hey, that looks like I can blow it up with a bomb. And then bombs evolved quite a bit with the series. Waterproof bombs,
Sure.
bomb arrows, as we called out. Bombs are, if you really want to get technical here, I would say they might be the most important because they are in every Zelda game, but the weirdest one, which is Zelda 2. They are the only item on this list that has been in every game.
Here's my problem with bombs. They're too standard, and I think they're too boring. I think bombs are. You're right that they are a very essential item in Zelda, and yeah, you can pick them up and you can throw them. My point is that we have a game about putting bombs down. It's called Bomberman. It's great.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's a weird pull.
Bomberman's awesome, but then you're talking about the false walls, and I'm thinking more about my time with Binding of Isaac, which is obviously extremely Zelda inspired. That they're using that idea of bombs breaking walls. But I will tell you, with me playing, and this is thinking back mostly to me playing through a game like Link to the Past, there would be a lot of times where I would put down bombs everywhere because sometimes there will be a wall that has a crack in it, and you go, oh well, I need to put a bomb there to open that place up. But other times there will just be fully flush walls, and you put a bomb there, and it still opens up a place, and then that fucks you. Where you go, oh, well, now I need to bomb literally every square inch of this entire fucking world to see where these false walls are. And
bombs over Hyrule, baby.
This is boring. I am having a terrible time as I bomb literally the whole world. I don't like them.
I refuse to put the bomb below B, but that would be the absolute lowest it would go for me.
I mean, B for bomb. There you go. That makes
All
sense
right.
to me. I will go for a B on bomb. I will say I think you're right that as we've gone into further Zelda games, thinking more, I know this is Sheikah Slate territory, but as we're thinking about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I really like the way that bombs became not just what you use bombs for normally, but a way to augment other items or other styles of play.
Totally.
And I found much more. There's something more foundational about using the bomb in those games as like a Lego piece that you can then connect to other Lego pieces to get to a new thing. I think that's really cool.
I would argue the more I think about the Sheikah Slate, while I don't like that they got rid of items, I love the idea that they've made this device that is almost Nintendo saying, this is what Zelda needs to have a fantastic adventure. And like we have taken 40 years of items, and we have basically said to explore Hyrule to its fullest, we think these are the items that you would benefit the most from in doing that. And I think there's something cool about that. Now, these aren't the items I would do, but I would not be opposed at all if there was like hey, this is Zelda with 4 items. You have you have this, and this, and your sword and your shield. Go do like Hyrule. Anyway, we're getting into some really sacred air here, Chase. We have the bottle. And I think the bottle is one of the greatest items ever. I feel very strongly about the bottle. It can do so many things. It is the unsung hero of the series.
You heard it here first. Bobby is on the bottle.
I'm on the bottle. I thought having this was one of my first times of like self-resing I ever remembered, of like always having a fairy in a bottle. Like I always felt I was good if I had a fairy in a bottle, but catching bugs to bees and releasing the bees out on people, swooping in and getting different types of jellies to then have different types of potions. You literally could not progress Ocarina of Time without a fish in a bottle to dump in front of our big King Zoro. I think the bottle is one of the most identifiable. I think it's an iconic item as well. I know we're not ranking off of that, but I think it has form, function. I cannot think of Zelda without thinking of bottles in your inventory. And I feel it is such a functional thing. Like it does so much in the game to move it forward, from getting milk to all those things. Like it's dumb. I know this is a very dumb thing to say, but if you're going from like a functioning good thing to have, like bottles are great. I would say bottles are pretty important. I don't think it's a D. I don't think it's. I would put it maybe at a B or C myself.
You ready for my answer?
You're going to say D.
Bottles are an A.
Bottles are an A, baby.
Bottles are an A. Bottles are great. Like
bottles are so good.
I am again thinking back more to my Link to the Past playthrough, or not playthrough. I did not play through Link to the
You need
Past,
to.
I know it's on the list. It'll get there. I have played lots of A Link to the Past. I played through A Link Between Worlds, so that's basically the same thing. There is something so beautifully silly about fist pumping because Link got a bottle.
Yes.
What? Who fucking cares?
I
But
know.
Also, I fucking care because
Yes.
I can do so many things with that bottle. You mentioned a lot of them there. That you have so much versatility in this item, and what's really exciting to me in something like A Link to the Past is you get multiple bottles.
You get
and
4.
It's always exciting when you get another bottle.
Absolutely.
Now you think, holy shit! There's so many things I can do with this. And now
I got my magic potion, my health. I've got a bug. I've got a fairy. I'm set.
That's the thing. Like, do you know how in lots of sci-fi, Star Wars included, I'm gonna put all power to shields, or I'm gonna put everything into the thrusters. You can do the same thing with bottles.
You can have 4 fairies.
Exactly. I'm about to go through a really hard boss fight. I suck at this. I need every bit of health that I can get. 4 fairies and 4 bottles, baby. I'm
full hearts. You 4 fairies.
Can't lose.
10 toes down.
55 bottles, 55 fairies. But yes, there's so many things that bottles can do.
Is the bottle an S tier item?
No, its bottle's not quite S tier.
Let's see.
We'll see. I feel bottles is a strong A. I would put bottle over both.
It's an A plus.
But it's
well, let's do that then for sure.
S tier.
There we go.
It's always a.
Oh, by the way, did we say Mirror Shield ahead of Hylian?
I don't give a shit.
All right, we'll go this route. Okay.
I truly think they are the same fucking.
What about the boomerang?
That depends, man. Again, the boomerang's been in a lot of games. There's a lot of different kinds of boomerangs.
I think Zelda was the first to have a boomerang, wasn't it?
You have the Gale boomerang in here as a separate item, right?
I do. I think that's because that is a very different. That's the one that basically you throw a tornado when you throw it.
Yeah. But so I played Smash Brothers. I know what the Gale Boomerang is. You don't have to tell me. Again, I'm thinking Oracle games here. You'd have a level 1 boomerang that was orange and rounded, and then you get a level 2 boomerang that was pointed and blue, and it could go the whole length of the screen. It would
stun enemies. Bring items back.
I think you could even give it some aftertouch and make it curve in the Oracle games if you needed to bend it around something, and that was fucking rad.
I'll just say this to you: there's another item on this list that, as soon as I get it, I never touch the boomerang again in a Zelda game.
I think I know what that item is, and I understand, but I disagree. I love the boomerang. I continue to. It is always my go-to item, usually in my B slot. This is something that hits for range in the same way that a bow does, but it's often more interesting to me, both from a puzzling standpoint, that you can do more puzzling, cool, interesting things with the boomerang, knowing that it's something that comes back to you, knowing that it's something you can throw in lots of different directions. In the Oracle games, I believe that you have the ability to bend it at some points, and that can be a puzzle solving scenario.
Oh, it makes awesome puzzles.
But my favorite part about the boomerang is that it stuns enemies in most Zelda games, at least the 2D ones. And that is one of my favorite things to be able to do, is to stun lock an enemy as I move up to then slash them down with the sword. So I love the boomerang.
Is it higher?
For me, boomerang easy S tier. That's
all
where
right.
I go. You can shift that as you will, but boomerang is one of my favorite items in Zelda.
Well, that's funny because I would argue that my favorite depending on the day of the week, is the Hookshot, and that is absolutely an S
You could be
tier
wrong.
item.
You're allowed to be wrong.
Oh, Hookshot is fantastic. That's S tier.
I'm always excited to get the Hookshot, and then I always feel like, that wasn't all that great.
Oh, you're high.
We
I can stun enemies the same. I can pull items back to me, and I can pull myself to things.
I believe also in the Oracle games you get like a swap Hookshot where you take the place of whatever you.
They
hookshot
do
into.
one that you kind of get Spider-Man-y with they do a dual claw hook shot where you can basically shoot and then stay and then go to another spot. Wind Waker tried to do something early in the game with a grapple hook, and I had that on here for a bit because you could like hit enemies and steal items from them. You could grapple and pull yourself across things. Like it wants to be the hook shot in every way it can. But
I see that you've got this in S tier. I don't think I'm moving you from it. I would say personally, this is an A tier item for me. I think it's below the Boomerang, but I understand that in most Zelda games that you get it is a better Boomerang, and I can understand.
Look, I have no qualms with that Boomerang being up here. Boomerang's great. I think about the Boomerang like A Link to the Past that absolutely melted my mind seeing it for the first time. The sound, bringing stuff back, like I had not experienced that. It was great. So
I think I would move Bottle to S and Hookshot to A, but that's my personal ranking.
You're not going to get the Hookshot off S on my deep dive. I'm sorry, it's not leaving that spot.
All right.
I will happily move the Bottle up, but I will not move the Hookshot down.
We probably will, but not yet.
Pegasus Boots.
Don't know what these are.
You did not play Link to the Past long enough. So this is a very prominent 2D Zelda item. This is the item that lets you kind of run in place for a second and then take the fuck off.
Oh, it's the Metroid Dash Boots.
It's the Dash Boots. And it's so cool, especially when
another series where I've never gotten that fucking item. Why would I know what the fucking Dash Boots are? I don't know shit.
Well, they've solved this because they put stamina into the games and you can just run for a period of time now.
Okay, I actually do remember what these are. Now that you talked about Fred Flintstoning it.
But what's cool about these is that they add some puzzling things because you could knock into a wall and bump something off of a shelf, or if there's an item in a tree, you can knock it loose. And it's also a way to stun enemies and knock them back. So it's cool. There was nothing better than when you could just make it all the way across the screen in the Link to Pass and then have it go and transition to the next, and you're still just
It's like a speed running tool at that.
100%.
Because you could, because I also remember them in Link to the Past now. There is some interesting stuff you can do. Well, interesting is too strong a word, but it was cool that you could run from screen to screen, but then there would be a time where you'd run into a wall, but the wall was diagonal to you, so like it would be on a plane, and so when you hit it, it would just shift Link a little bit. Like you wouldn't crash into that wall; it would just shift him up or down to follow the plane of the wall. And I thought that was cool. That the game allowed you to keep going fast.
Yeah.
And as Sonic taught me, you got to go fast.
You got to go fast.
I still think these are fucking lame. In the grand scheme of things, these are a fucking lame item. I might even put them into D tier. But
okay.
I could say like
the game evolved past it. The functionality piece stopped being relevant.
Well, also many of the things that you mentioned that you'd use it for, I feel like the other items do in a more fun or interesting way. Like hitting enemies to stun them, I have a boomerang for that. Hitting walls to knock things down or break things, I got a bomb for that. Like I just don't. Yes, they make you go fast, and that's cool, but it ain't cool enough. This is a D tier item for me.
Yeah, let's go into the Magic Cape next. This is a Link to the Past as well. You probably never had it.
I don't know what this is.
When you put the Magic Cape on, it just immediately starts draining your magic meter. But you're invisible, completely invisible. You can walk through barriers. You can walk on spikes, but it's seconds. It's a very cool showpiece, but it has a good function. But again,
there's Harry Potter ass shit in the D tier.
Get it out of here. He says
this isn't even the best cape in Zelda.
No. What about the magic mirror? You probably didn't make it far enough in A Link to the Past for the magic mirror.
No.
I've
talked about this. Well, sorry. Yes, I have. But or rather, I didn't get to it. We've had this conversation before. I purchased copies or used copies of Link to the Past, or I played friends' copies of Link to the Past. So I have experience playing the very beginning of Link to the Past up to like the first handful of dungeons. And then I also have experience playing on other people's either completed or nearly completed save files where I had access to all the shit, but had no idea where I was supposed to go or what was going on. So often I would, have the mirror and go into the other
Realm.
go into the past.
Yeah.
And then go, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, but I guess I'm here. And then, I can blink myself back into the present and I'm in a weird spot. Now, okay, I understand how that works for puzzle solving, but I still don't know where the fuck I'm going because I haven't explored.
It was always cool if you saw a heart piece and you're like, there's no way to get to that.
Right.
And then later in the game, you're like, oh shit, I'm just going to stand here and warp back and then I'm there. Like that was always cool. It was like a gimmicky thing. There was other ways to do this though. The world had spots you could walk onto to go back and forth. Now the magic mirror would create those, and you had like your own.
Yeah, there was a freedom to because there were those spots in Link to the Past. And you could go in those, and now you have to go between. But then getting the magic mirror in a similar way to getting the airship or something in Final Fantasy. It's like I could walk all the way to that.
It's pure convenience. It
is. So did you put this in? You have this in D tier right now. Is this D tier because that's where you think it goes, or is this D tier as like a holding spot?
I'm holding it here. I don't know. I mean, I could see it as I think it's a D or a C item is where I see this.
This can be top of D tier. It doesn't have much function. Well, I mean, we mentioned talking about things in a combat scenario as well. This has no real combat value. Not that every item has to have combat value, but I think an item has to be really cool and interesting from a puzzle perspective if it doesn't have any use as a combat item for it to be higher on this tier list.
Agreed.
I think Magic Mirror could go like top of D tier, but I wouldn't put it anywhere else.
All right. Oops. Wrong thing to grab there. Wrong window, Bobby. There we go. All right. Let me move this at the top then. So then we get to a little special item that I don't know if you care about, Chase, but the Cane of Somaria is.
Is there a tier above S? Can we put a double S tier?
Walk me through why you feel so strongly about this, because I think that you're going for more iconic value than you are function.
Not even iconic. I just personally love the shit out of this thing.
You're not wrong. It's a very cool item.
It's not an S tier item. I understand that, but it is just one of my favorite Zelda.
I would argue this is you giving into the iconicness of it because it is. It's a very cool item. It's
not iconic to me though, because I only played with it in one game. Like I only remember playing it in the Oracle games. Because I didn't get far.
Did they have a version of this in A Link Between Worlds though, or something adjacent to it? Let me check here.
You could like make a sand block. So yeah, kinda. There was like you could make blocks of sand in like a desert.
Bow, bombs, fire, ice, tornado, sand rod, hookshot, boomerang, hammer, bug. Sand rod would be it. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd make like a big block of sand, and then you could disperse it as you went. I love the Cane of Somaria because it sounds weird, but some of my favorite Zeldaing is the Sokoban parts where you are just moving blocks.
Sure.
And so to get a thing that builds a block in front of you that you can then use to push items or to, portal style, leave a block on a button to hold it there. There is something I really like about the puzzle mechanics that you get to do with that.
It's cool because it's only one block at a time too. It really forces you to like have this call and response stuff with it.
Totally. I think the sand rod can make more. Like you could make a big line of.
That was a 3D element of it where you could go up and down with it.
Absolutely. But I love the Cane of Somaria. I think it is not always a useful item. It's not really that good in combat. I think it's awkward. I don't know if you can even drop the blocks on enemies, or if they just kind of move to the side when you make a block. But yeah, I guess you can use it to literally block enemies' attacks or put something between you and the enemies.
If you had the spiked enemies that would go back and forth, it was always nice to like pin them against the wall to where you could just like move freely in that space. I always enjoyed that.
The kind of spinies from Kirby.
It's a great item.
Zelda. It's and I also don't think that even if you swung it at an enemy, I don't think it does any damage. So it is something that is here purely for the puzzle elements, but it is just one of my absolute favorite items. It is S tier in my heart, but you can leave it in A tier. I see that you can move bottle up.
Well, I can move this around. We can go back and forth. Well, we can do whatever there.
You can leave bottle in S. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Here's my question for you.
Hurts me that you put more things above the Cane of Somaria when obviously that's the best item in Zelda. But if
that's your
no, it's not. It's just
okay.
I understand.
I mean, I did that with the Hookshot, so like you get one of those.
The Hookshot's a legitimately good item, though. Even if I am a little less high on it than you are, I still recognize that it's a useful item. The Cane of Somaria is not as useful. I just personally think it is the coolest thing ever.
Are both of these rods on the same tier, or is one a tier above the other? We're talking about the fire and the ice rod.
You have to remind me. I mean, obviously, I know a fire rod is going to light lanterns.
Yeah, ice. In various forms, it can like do blocks and shit, like freeze an enemy, push them, whatever. I think
freeze some water or something so you can walk across. Yeah. I don't know.
I think that these are both on the same tier, but I think the fire rod is the better of the two of these.
It's probably the more useful one. It's probably better for fighting enemies too. Some damage over time kind of
stuff. They're very cool. They use magic. They feel fun because it's magic, especially in A Link to the Past. Like there's a ton of magic in that game. The cape, the rods, all those things.
Do they show up in other games outside of Link to the Past?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're in Breath of the Wild. You get and those are fun because you kind of get.
Yeah, that's true. And you have a lightning rod in that one too, right?
Yep, okay. And they've done various rods across like a bunch of different games. So rods are a pretty, reoccurring theme in Zelda. I don't know, man. Like I go back and forth on D and C tier for these. Like they're fun.
These are C. I think they can go above the shields, but I'd put them both on C.
Okay. You want them above the shields? More function? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll go that route. Okay. The bug net, the humble bug net. It's in more games than the bow, if you can believe it. It's useless in combat to a degree. It's a precursor because you can catch your bee, put it in the bottle. It's kind of a throwaway for me, man. Like this thing's very silly. It's cool, but
are there not games where you can use the bottle to capture fairies, or do you have to catch them in a bug net first?
No. In Ocarina of Time, you absolutely just use the bottle. Okay. Grab it.
Then D tier.
Easily.
Great. A tier Animal Crossing item.
A tier.
D tier Zelda item.
Okay. This has been called different things. We are going with Rock's Cape. It has been Rock's Feather. In other games.
In the Oracle games, you start with the Rock's Feather and it upgrades to the Rock's Cape.
Correct. I think Rock's Cape is very cool. Where would you put it in the longer jumps, hovers? Like those are really cool mechanics in a video game. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they do some puzzling stuff.
Going back to when we were talking about the Oracle games before, like this is the time where you would pair. They were Pegasus seeds, but they gave you the same thing as the boots. You'd pair the Pegasus seeds with the Rock's Cape or Feather to get a running dash that you could then jump and fly and get over big pits. And so that was a cool thing of, I can't even use my sword right now. I am full on in puzzle mode where I have to do this platforming stuff. So that was always cool to me that a Zelda game would deprioritize the sword in that way. And that always was interesting to me. Personally, I like it. I like the feather. I like the cape.
It's a great looking cape.
I think they add a lot to the game. I think it is interesting to have a 2D Zelda game allow you to jump, especially when you can jump. I understand like jumping over pits, but even there's enough depth to the game where you can jump over enemies. And I always found that fun too. Even in a 2D game, I'm still jumping over them in this top-down perspective, and that was always cool to me. So I think this is pretty high. I would think I would put it in A tier.
All right. What about the Ocarina of Time, Chase?
Don't care.
You don't care. It's the wrong answer. I don't think this is an S tier item. I want to be clear there. But I would argue that this was the game. You know, it's the name of the game. It's the function of the game.
It literally is the game.
It literally is the game. So, and this is my favorite game of all time. So I have, like, I think it's kind of a dorky instrument, for being real. I think Majora's Mask went an edgier route. I think Wind Waker tried to do similar stuff, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. I would absolutely put this above the Wind Waker, but they could be on the same tier potentially. Is this
Zelda's Lullaby goes hard, but I don't care about the item.
It does allow you to transport to other locations. You can fast travel with it. Like, you use this to change day to night. You use this for weather. Like, it is a pretty critical item. I would put it as a B, but C if you really wanted to bump it and punch down a little bit on it.
I mean, I guess I like it better than the bombs, but it can go in B tier. It's fine. It is absolutely iconic. This Nintendo has made like an entire grassroots mom and pop. We sell fucking ocarinas made out of clay or gourds or whatever the fuck we do. This little what's the cottage industry? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Made an entire cottage industry of fucking hippies who are like, I guess I can sell this shit to these fucking dumbass gamers as long as I paint one blue and I call it the Ocarina of Time. I'll sell 1 billion of them. And you know what? I almost bought one too because I'm a fucking loser, but I didn't because they were too expensive and I already sucked at a recorder and I wasn't going to buy a stubby ass little recorder that was just called an ocarina instead. Fuck those things.
I'm going to do a quick thing. I agree with all that. I'm going to ask you for a favor. Mm-hmm. One of my dogs got hurt tonight. He's okay. We had to like an emergency vet thing. I have to carry him. We're getting near the end of this hour. We have 23 items. I would love to knock out 3 more and make a part 2 with you if you were okay with that one for when.
That's fine with me.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I apologize. I underestimated the time it would take to get through
40 was going to be too many, and he went, we can do it. It was like, have you met us? There's no way. I'm sorry, have you met me specifically? So
I apologize, Chase, to dump that on you mid-show.
That's fine.
I would. Okay.
All 3 more of these things. That's what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hit me with whatever this thing is.
This is the Lens of Truth. It's from Ocarina of Time. This is a really cool concept. I will give you that. It allows you to see secrets like false walls, paths that you might not have there. There's a really fucked up area of the game that you have to go into where this is critical. I don't know. Like, I think this is probably a D tier item if I'm being real with you. I think it looks a lot cooler than what it actually is. It's got the Sheikah eye. If we had the F, it'd be an F probably.
Get the fuck out of here.
There is an F item on this list, in my opinion.
Here's the deal with this thing is this was the opposite side from the bomb conversation that I had. The bomb traumatized me in that I am now bombing every single square inch of A Link to the Past. This is baby mode. I don't like this. All I want is for there to be cracks in the wall. That just anytime you can put a crack in the wall and I go, okay, place to bomb. I don't need false walls that look absolutely flush that I now need to use another stupid item to also look around every square inch of the world to find secrets. Fuck this. Fuck it. Get it out of here.
What about, so we have Pegasus Boots as a D. Do the Iron Boots belong in the same tier list?
Let me ask about the usefulness of the Iron Boots. Obviously, they are used in the water temple in Ocarina of Time, and that is where everybody hates them. I did not get that far in Ocarina of Time, so I don't care. Do these things have any other uses outside of sinking you in water?
They can be magnetic. They are also used to let you be firmly planted to sumo wrestle Gorons, so you can match their strength and stature. There are some situations where you would use them to bust rusted switches. So like if you couldn't step and weigh down a switch, you would use the boots to help you do that. There are instances where they are not only magnetic, but I think I'm pretty sure there's some games where they were electrical, like you were using them from like a conduit standpoint. So I think that they have far more, like the hover boots didn't even make the cut. Pegasus has a functionality in the game to do puzzle stuff. So that's why I kept these items here versus others. I think that they are better than Pegasus, but that doesn't mean they're a tier above them. They could be, but I think that they're better than the Magic Mirror. I think they're better than almost everything. They would be the top of D tier for me right now if we put them on D. But they would probably be lower, if not the farthest down on C tier if we went that route.
D tier. Let's move on.
Okay. The Megaton hammer. And I guess we're going to knock out two here because there's two hammers on this list. They both functionally do a lot of the same things, but the Megaton hammer was interesting because unlike other Zelda games, it really became a weapon, especially in Ocarina of Time, where you would have your shield out and the hammer, and that was awesome because there were certain enemies that you would have to bust up their face with it, like they had a metal face. I think that the hammer is just really fucking cool. You know I love hammers in video games.
Wow, Bobby likes a hammer. News
this is where it started. This is literally where it started. So,
what's the other hammer's deal? What makes it different?
It's massive, dude. It's comically large.
They're both comically large. It's called
no.
The
Megaton is. I mean, it's a big hammer compared to like what you're hanging up your framed artwork with, but the Megaton hammer is more like Thor's hammer in size when you're wielding it. So the other hammer is kind of like the Biggoron sword. It's really what it is. It's a two-handed hammer. It's massive. Like it is 5 to 6 times larger than Link in the game. And it's got a very cool kind of like skull design to it. I think that they both have a very similar function. So they can be on the same list. It's really like which one would we put above the other, in my opinion. They are used differently, to be clear. But it's not like the Gale Boomerang versus the standard Boomerang.
I like the hammer from A Link to the Past that has a purple handle and an orange head, and
it's a very good animation and a very good sound.
You just have it bonk those little Diglett doofuses and walk right over.
So the hammer, though, like we could just say the hammer in general. Like, is the hammer in Zelda?
Well, you can't say that because then we'd only have 39 items, Bobby. You can't do that.
That's true.
You can't come back with that bullshit. So, where are you feeling about these hammers?
I would put the hammer
in spots at all, or
I would do B tier, and I would do high C tier. I would do it just like that.
Why do you feel that the hammers are in different tiers? Do you feel like they actually deserve to be in different tiers at that point?
I think for this here, because these two are just fundamentally very different, there's only like a few spots in Wind Waker where I see a practical use for this hammer. And so it's not as functional because, again, like there's an entire dungeon dependent upon the Megaton hammer, but I also ended up using that all throughout the game as a combat weapon. So I put it as a B tier compared to the C tier, where I would not use that hammer in the game as like an ongoing vessel for damage.
Okay. I know we're done for part one, but I have to ask this because this is probably I don't know if this is your history of mispronouncing things or if this is my history of just having only seen this word and never actually heard it spoken. Obviously, it is the Biggoron sword, but I have always said it in my brain as one word since it's listed as one word. The Biggoron sword is how I would usually say that. Do you always say it as like two separate words?
I could be saying it wrong, but
I mean, this is Zelda. Nobody ever says shit in these games.
But I will say it's the biggest Goron I've ever seen, and it's his sword.
Sure.
Well, let's find out really quick.
Well, I don't know if you're going to find an official thing. Like, is Miyamoto out there going blah, 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 Japanese, blah, 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 Biggoron sword? I don't think he says. I don't know if we're going to get an answer here. maybe the folks at home can chime in and say who's saying this right.
Is it Biggoron or Biggoron? According to Reddit, it's big or on, but really quickly. It's Biggoron, according to one person.
Big ol' Ron.
Used to say Big Goron sword until I heard Big Oron, and now I say that. Big Goron sword. Biggoron. Big Goron, but it's one word, bigger on.
It's like a Fairly Odd Parents thing. It's like it's Doug Dimmadome.
Dimmadome dome.
Dimmadome or the Dimsdale Dimmadomes.
Wait, did anyone else call it the Big Goron sword? I mean, Biggoron.
I mean, it obviously. You look at the word and you see that it's supposed to be. It's.
Listen, I've got Goron. 2 weeks to figure this out because it's the first thing we come back to. And that's burying the lead because we're going to take next week off. The following week is going to be our September preview. And boy, howdy, do we need that. So if it's okay with you, Chase, I will sneak this in as a follow-up. And it won't take us long to get through the rest of it, I don't think. So we can maybe even sneak in a game that we're playing around it. But I appreciate you being flexible. Sorry for my overestimation of this.
It's your fucking dog's fault.
It is my dog. Obi busted his chin up and his paw. Poor guy. He fell down some steps. So not fun. I just realized I did not update the credits. So I will leave this up and we'll do our outro with this view. Chase, we are not doing anything this Monday. We took that off. We're going to be gone next week. So think about my sins and deeds tonight. Thank you for entertaining my very dumb hyperfixation on Zelda.
We did. So we talked about my absolute favorite Zelda item, which is the Cane of Somaria, but I will give a little teaser to the people at home. My second favorite Zelda item, still on the list. Still haven't gotten to it. So,
still haven't gotten to it.
Come back in a couple weeks where we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think there's one on here that I would maybe say is like a second or third for me as well. So if you're interested in what we're doing, we got a lot of cool stuff in the hopper for this show. You can stick around our social channels, which aren't working right now. Great. Thecasualhour.com will get you where you need to go.
Nothing fucking works around here.
Can't keep the lights on. Can't do shit. Chase, you're busy. I'm busy with Zelda. You're busy with other things. What are you up to?
There's a new episode of Chasey K Plays where I'm playing Super Mario RPG in a series called Super Chasey K RPG. Bobby made the thumbnail for it. Looks great, and that game continues to be kind of cool. I got 2 new party members on this last playthrough or this last episode. I got an old enemy becomes an ally, and an old flame becomes a party member. So that's pretty exciting. I also fought a big cake. So
yeah, you did. Houses and cakes, baby.
Houses and cakes. So that was a good episode. People should go check that out on Chasey K Plays on YouTube. I've also got my other podcast that I do with a good friend of our show, Pierce Corshane. It's called Pilot Program, where Pierce and I watch the first episodes of every television show ever made. Pierce is a pretty busy boy right now with his work life, so we're taking a bit of a break. But once he is ready to record again, we will be talking about Star Wars Andor for our 51st episode. So look forward to that and go watch or listen rather to all the previous episodes we did. We have got 50 of them, and I would say a couple of them are pretty good.
Hell yeah.
And then lastly, because I just put this out, I will actually plug my Magic the Gathering YouTube channel, which is Common Knowledge, where I talk about the pauper format in Magic the Gathering, common cards that are out there. But I did just put out a video literally right before we started recording this on Twitch for the day, which is about a new Secret Lair set. This is kind of their direct-to-consumer shit that you can buy that's very sneaker culture. It sells out immediately. It fucking sucks. But they're bringing out a new randomized booster set that they've never done before. They've always sold specific cards on Secret Lair, but now they're selling actual randomized booster packs with this new art. And some of those cards in that set were downshifted to common that had never been common before. So that a lot of people were thinking, oh, that means these cards are now legal in Pauper, the set where you can play all the commons. And they had to come out and go, nah, we know we put them at common, but they're not actually legal in that format. So I put a video together telling you why that's fucking stupid.
Good.
which I guess I've just elucidated here. But if you want to hear me rant about it for another 20 minutes, you can go watch that episode, as well as see me rate multiple common cards for the Pauper format. So go check out all of those things. A lot of good content out there.
Hell yeah. Chase, thank you for a lot of things. We will be back in 2 weeks. See y'all then.